Smile, be chat, join for networking.
Thank you very much, everyone. This is about the journey in life, so I want you to get on board. I'm going to talk about how to turn negatives into positives and how to give something back to the community. 62 years, we're going on a journey, a very quick journey. Like everybody else, I enjoyed school at a very early age, in junior school. Always a bit of an extrovert, always wanted to be in the limelight. Biggest thing, when I was about 8, I got the part that I wanted. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Yes, I was not Snow White. Absolutely fantastic until it come to taking the beard off. Does anyone ever remember the pots of glue? They put a beard on me. I had it on for 3 days. I was that lad going round Liverpool with all red blotches all over him for over 2 weeks. So school was great in the very early stages. When it got to senior school, it became a nightmare because I was bullied in the very late stages of senior school. I was in a family of 7, 5 lads, 2 girls. Didn't want to go and tell my brothers that I was being bullied because I thought, I'm a wimp. I've got to deal with it myself. My brothers would have sorted it out, but I didn't want them to. It had a dramatic effect in regards to my health. I had everything wrong with me, but what was really wrong with me? I ended up, I was in hospital for over 12 months in Heswell because my mum and dad and all my brothers thought that I had all sorts of stomach complaints, but really I couldn't stand school because every time I walked through the doors, people were bullying me. You can see I'm no big guy, and most of it was about my size and about who I was as a person. Life was hell until one day I was just lying in the hospital bed and I thought, I can't carry on like this. So I decided there and then that the bullies weren't going to win no more. Went back to school, and it was the back end of school, and then you could leave school at 15. So I decided, do you know what? I don't give a damn no more, but I'm going to make something out of my life. And very quickly, I got a job as an office boy, just in an offices in one of the big car parts distributors in Liverpool. And it was a journey and a half because very, very quickly, at 16 and a half, I become the assistant parts manager. There were over 2,000 people in this company. And it was a very rapid rise because, as I say, I was pushing myself forward and I was giving myself goals. It was fantastic. My mum and dad were involved in being club stewards in Catholic clubs, which meant that we moved around a lot. And I think we'd been to about 5 or 6 different, when we'd had 5 or 6 different houses inside 10 years. It all accumulated where my dad wanted a complete change in regards to the people who he was responsible to. And we moved to St Helens, and we moved to a lovely place called Rainford, which is a suburban village just on the outside of St Helens. And life was great. I then got caught and met a young lady, got engaged, and I got married very quickly because basically I was head over heels. But saying that, my dad then became very ill. No sooner did we move to St Helens than my dad he had a heart attack. My dad was 49 then. And when I got married, things started to slide down in regards to my mum and dad. What policies they had then, they had to sell because of his ill health. My dad ended up having 3 heart attacks and 2 strokes. Whenever we had time together, he always used to say to me, listen, just do me a favour. And I want you to hold what I'm going to tell you because it comes to fruition. He said, always remember, it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. You can make whatever you want in your life if you really want it that much. He said, and I always want you to remember that. He said, and also do me a favour, Terry, don't be like me. I want you to set yourself goals in life, short term and long term. He said, but set them high. Because if you set them high, you'll achieve whatever you want. My dad then was taken, and it wasn't long after that, he was taken into hospital. Went into a coma, my dad died at 50. We moved our wedding forward because I'd only been going with Elaine. I'd only been going with her 12 months, 15 months. We got married. Fortunately, it was her mum and dad who said, we think we should move the wedding forward because we don't think your dad's going to be well enough. And my dad died in the January just after we got married. Things were tough. Got married. Went to another car parts company in St Helens. Because of my dad dying, my mum was left with a hefty mortgage. I was on something like then, and as I say, I'm 62 now, I was on something like £25,000 a year. And I was only sort of 18, 19. I was on massive money. And I decided that I was going to leave my job because my mum was left with a hefty mortgage. And my eldest brother said, why don't you come working in the glass factory? Because as people know, St Helens was renowned for glass and mining. Went into the glass factory. When I went into the glass factory, I remember my first night turn, cried my eyes out because I'd never done night turns before. Cardboard boxes were coming down the line at nobody's business with glass jars in, and they were everywhere but where they should have been. I then set myself goals on every job in the factory because and I was on shift work, as I say, and I always wanted to better myself in life. Become well known in regards to opening my mouth, become a shop steward very, very quickly indeed. But then things happened. One day I got a phone call, and I come out of the factory, by the way, because then my wife become blind. It was temporary because she'd become a diabetic. And at that time, she'd been drinking a lot of fluids, and people know now that's one of the first signs of diabetes. People weren't educated in them days. Luckily, she got a sight back. But I'd packed my job in because I had to, because I had 4 children. I then decided that I've got a big mouth, so I'm going to use it. And I went into newspapers and started getting it going into advertising. Couple of years down the line, I got a phone call, and I had 2 jobs as well. I had a job in Liverpool, and I also had a job in Warrington. I was doing 9 till 5 in Liverpool and doing 6 till 10 in Warrington, to tell the truth. Got a phone call one day. Wife was just in bits, and she said, you better come home quick. Got home, there was police everywhere. I had a daughter who had educational needs. She was 12, and she'd been raped. It was a father's biggest nightmare. And it was at the same time as the James Bolger incident. And most of you will remember that. I was in bits because I kept thinking it's my fault because I wasn't there, etc. And what happened is what happens with a lot of families who go through traumas like that is the marriage didn't last. And we separated. My daughter needed all support, and she's still got mental health problems. She suffers with terrible schizophrenia. She's now 30-odd, my daughter. I decided that I needed to pick myself up. And as I say, we split up, and I got a phone call to say she was leaving, and she was in love. And one by one, three of my children said, we're not going with my mum, we're staying with you. As I say, we were 5 lads, 2 girls, and my mum and dad just spoilt us. I didn't know how to do a flaming thing, mate. So I went to my best friend, who was my mum then, and I said, Elaine's left me. I said, and she's walked out with me, with the youngest. I said, and what am I going to do? She said, I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to go home, roll your sleeves up. I said, but I can't even peel a spud. She said, you're going to cut your fingers to pieces until you learn. She said, because you've got duties there to them children to bring them up the best way that your dad would ever want you to. And I did it. And I got my head down. And the way that I dealt with life then was always remembering what my dad said to me. And then I started channeling me energy into being a parent governor of the children's schools. I then got involved with fighting a couple of school closures that were local, and I won both of them. With that, a political party come on the scene and said to me, why don't you stand for us? Because we think that your energy is unbelievable and your community, what you're giving back to the community is fantastic. And I thought, yeah, I'll have a bit of that. People in the community were really standing up, and what really endeared it all was I was asked to stand for one of the most deprived areas in the Northwest, and it's called Par. I decided that I wasn't happy with just being a councillor, that I wanted to make a difference to the community, and I wanted to, because it was deprived as well, give me more energy in regards to what I wanted to do for the community. And very quickly indeed, any grants that were going out there, I was doing on my own time and applying. But I was getting involved with some of the community associations and some of the tenants and residents associations and telling them that they had a voice and to use the voice in regards to the council. I then set myself a goal in regards to being what we call a portfolio holder. In other words, not being responsible for the services in the town. I was then one of the quickest people that had ever been on as a councillor, and I become a portfolio holder of environmental services. I was summoned into the Ivory Tower one day, into the chief executive's office, and she said to me, I don't believe you. I said, why, what have I done? She said, you're in the paper more than the mayor. and all I was doing was I was promoting services that had been there for years, that the council were that busy firefighting. They always said what they were going to do, but they never went back and said what they'd achieved. And I think that's a massive mistake in regards to whenever things come churning out from organisations and councils, they never go back and say what they've actually achieved. I then set myself a goal that I'm not happy. I want to be the mayor of the town. Guess what? I become the mayor of St Helens. It was one of the most proudest times that I've ever known. But there were two people missing because my mum had just died sort of 12 months previous. And my eldest brother come to me. And he said, you know what? He said, if mum and dad were here now, he said, they wouldn't believe what you've achieved. That meant a lot to me to come from my eldest brother. It really meant a lot. Juggernauts come along sometimes. Adversity comes along. How you handle that adversity and how you handle being knocked over is important. You've got to get yourself up and you've got to really go at it. I am now still a councillor. I'm back onto and I thought I'd had my time. I'm now just 2 months ago, I'm back as a portfolio holder again. And there is talk, and I have been approached to be the leader of the council. I've started up, and it's crazy really because my background is sales and marketing. I've been to Budapest, I've been all over the place. I've put signs on roundabouts, and I've dealt with companies. I get a big buzz out of giving something back to the community because it's not about taking all the time. Even now, I'm going around giving talks in regards to different things. I'm a chair of governors of 2 schools. I also sit on another 2 schools. Jen Hines says to me, how the hell do you have all this time? Do you get any time at all? I joined 4Networking a year last February, and I went to Blackpool on a holiday, and I decided to go to a 4Networking group. And within 3 minutes of walking through the door, I wanted to be part of it because 4Networking is a massive community. And 4Networking also talks about giving something back, not just taking. The finest thing I ever done was got onto the group, and now I stand here as being an area leader of five groups who are all achieving what they want to achieve. You've got to make people believe that they can achieve anything, no matter who they are or where they come from. And my biggest message to you is that don't sit there and every time a juggernaut knocks you over, get back up, Because if you don't get up and decide you're going to do something about it, nobody else is going to do that. And you can feel sorry for yourself as much as you want. But I look around as a counsellor, and the one thing that keeps me going is that I see others that have got just as much adversity as that's hit me. I thought I'd finished, but 18 months ago, I got a phone call from my brother, and he said, Terry, you've got to go to the doctors. I said, what for? There's not with me. He said, I've got prostate cancer. 3 of us ended up with prostate cancer. All brothers. I've lost my dad at 50, I lost my brother at 47, and I lost my eldest brother last Christmas. I've got to keep going because they had a belief in me that I could achieve whatever I want. And I believe that you can achieve whatever you want, and I like to spread the word. I always say to the teachers in my schools, if I've got children walking through that door who want to be educated, it's our job to give them the best education possible. And that's all I can say to yourselves. Give something back to the community, because in here you do get something back. Thank you very much.
Smile, be chat, join for networking.